A fun match. These two seem to meet all of the time in the ESL Open Cup Koreas. They just always have, like, the seeds that put them on the same side of the bracket. Just because I think the top few guys in terms of seeding play every week. It's just natural that herO and ByuN end up on the same side because of that. Because it's based off of ESL points every single time, I believe. So, bottom right-hand corner, the blue Terran player from the Shopify Rebellion. This is ByuN. He battles against the red Protoss. In the top left-hand corner from Dragon Kaisi Gaming, herO. Alatrion, thank you so much for the 5-month resub. Welcome back. Thank you for the support today. As we are diving headfirst into this round of 8 matchup. Again, excellent side of the bracket. You've got herO versus ByuN. The winners of that move on to play very likely Dark. Obviously, perhaps you have Creator slipping through instead. Either way, very fun section of the bracket no matter what, as we'll head into the semifinals after this. We're just in for a little bit of a treat. Always great to be able to dive on in here and grab in some great games like this. And, yeah, actually, obviously, because I've not been here the last couple of weeks, I probably have missed some ESL Open Cup Koreas with some good games. If we do have any downtime or any kind of extra time to fill, I will backtrack a little bit and try and find us some kind of cool games to kind of catch up on if any of them exist in the replay packs or anything. So, I'll keep eyes on that. Not going to guarantee it because we are already pretty busy, like I've been saying. We have got so much cool StarCraft coming up in the near future. Super excited for it all. So hopefully you guys are very excited for that as well. Nexus and Cybercore building up. Reactor coming through on the barracks. The Orbital Command is building about halfway through on this main base. Also, that probe wandering around here is just getting nibbled by the SCVs, and this is going to be ByuN looking for that expansion ASAP, as this probe is in a little bit of trouble. I'm going to say he's very nearly caught by that last STV hit. TC goes down. It's pretty late command center. I mean, usually you put a command center down on a fast expand at 145. This was 158. That's a very late expansion. So this probe definitely did its job. Now, reactor completes and 2 Reapers start up. And that's going to be where ByuN continues through with this. He's going to start harassing a little. 2 Reapers obviously have that little bit more harassment potential than the single Reaper. Probe can stick around because it's reactor first. There's no unit to initially have pushed this away. And that's exactly what we're seeing. Just this probe nibbling around. The Reapers will pop out. And we'll just get it going from there. Once again, let's just get this underway as we have our probe sneaking on into the main. More moments. Roddy, my buddy. How you doing? 82-month resub. Hope we had a good journey back. It's fun to see you. It's good to see you too, man. Yeah, our journey back is pretty good, man. Pretty chill. We had a very short layover. But, like, everything was just on time. And passport control was empty, so it was like we just got off a flight. We walked through passport control and we got on the next flight. It was, like, super smooth, so... One of those days where, like, you're stressed because, like, if anything goes wrong, you're probably stuck on your transfer for, like, 4 hours. But because everything went right, it was super cool, you know? That was good. Hope you had a good middle of the night journey home. As our Reapers will poke around a little bit. Obviously, they have finally cleaned out that probe that was sticking around for maybe a bit too long at the end. I don't hate that the probe went down to these Reapers because it does confirm it's double Reaper instead of Marines. You probably would have been able to tell that, I guess, by just sort of seeing, hey, that barrack still hasn't produced anything. It must now be Reapers instead of Marines because it's still building. Reapers have a longer build time. But just in general, I don't mind that the probe stuck around to get the scout and confirmation that this is Reapers because I think, you know, knowing that just tells you a little bit about what to expect. You know, is this going to be purely Marines? How soon do you have to expect 20 Marines to be showing up in your face, for example? As our Stimpack starts up on this barracks. We do finally have a factory, so it was straight at 3 racks behind all of this. As SCV rolls down to the low ground, a couple of Reapers will get pushed away, a couple of Stalkers get there to keep those Reapers pinned back. And we do have our robotics facility about halfway done. Gateway still coming up, Blink's about halfway, like I say. Engineering bay coming out as well as a factory up in the main base. Everything getting set here for a couple of moments. Stalkers will grab 1 Reaper. We just try and pick up extra info. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The Reapers have honestly found a good amount already. They know the Twilight Council is here. He's seen the Stalkers. I think the information is pretty clear for ByuN. Now he's playing against Blink. As the hallucination gets denied into the main base. Audio is the game is 8 food better than every other SC2 event catered food. In terms of catering, like when we get food that's like specifically like catering food, yes, absolutely. There's been a couple times when events like, a couple of times we did the Sweden studio shows for, like, season finals. We got to, like, just order, like, delivery when we wanted it, or, like, we got to pick, so obviously that was pretty good. And we got, like, some good shoot, like, stuff, but, like, in terms of catered food, yes, absolutely. As our Stalkers will poke at the front, there's not too many of them, though. herO's going into that fast third base. He's not, you know, gone into a ton of gateways or anything along those lines here. So with just these few Stalkers poking and prodding around, we'll nibble at the bunker, but that will be about it for the moment as the Stalker continues to chase. That Reaper for the moment getting away through the top side, through the main. Stalker jumps in, Reaper will get picked off. And again, the rest of our Stalkers are just sat just out the front of the natural here. As our Marines and Marauders together will gather up, and well, we've already got this Observer coming for a little bit of a scout through. Trying to just see what's happening as +1 attack, combat shield will continue. Now Stalkers begin to go after this bunker once again. Oh, that's a nasty blink. All 3 Stalkers go down. That's a real nasty blink, actually. The ByuN really benefiting from that. That works out quite nicely. There's actually quite a few dead Stalkers. Now we're going to catch this Observer as well, so information is denied from herO, who can't see much else. I'm actually very worried for herO, especially if you're going to donate an Immortal just wanders into the rest of this ByuN army, and all of a sudden, Medivacs load up, we start to move onto the map. herO doesn't have much. He's on 8 Stalkers and 3 Sentries against a lot of Terran. This Medivac drop is seen, so we will unload, and we'll force these Stalkers back. We're going to actually just load up again instantly, which I don't really hate. Especially if we get into this main base, the defense is extremely minimal. Stalkers are going to miss those Medivacs getting in. If you blink your units up into the main base defensively here, A, I don't think they're going to trade well, and B, the army on the front is still pretty scary too. Maybe force fields can save the day there, as our ByuN has to kite back. Good defense with the Zealots and the Super Battery buying you some time. The units on the low ground do not get forward enough, and we actually have a pretty solid defense from herO. Credit to him. He just defended with the absolute bare minimum and made it work. That was very clutch, because that was obviously a situation which could have gone very wrong very quickly for herO if he had not been able to find a way to deal with that properly, but I couldn't have really done it much better. Like, the attack on the main base was dealt with what, a Super Battery and a couple of Zealot Warpins, and he didn't have any issues on the low ground. That was my biggest concern. I thought going up into the main was going to leave this low ground way too exposed, but obviously Sentries and Force Fields are very good in scenarios just like that. As ByuN takes the opportunity to build the Ghost Academy. This was not super fast Colossi, although we will see the Robot Bay coming up now. So taking the chance to get some Ghosts on the field is never a bad one. If this does turn into Colossi at this point, you already have some EMPs to kind of soften them up initially, but then you can have a chance to switch it into Vikings a bit later down the line once you truly know exactly what you're playing against. Couple of Marauders, Marines, more Widow Mines all popping out. We see our Bioforce to the left is going to grab a probe to begin with, and we'll see a couple of those mines going to get burrowed up. Plus of shells coming through, +1 armor is coming through, the extra depots are building, our Vikings and Marauders all coming out as well here. A lot of ByuN gathers up in the center, going to come around up to the top. We have our Colossus coming through, extended thermal lands coming in. It's going to start nibbling through this set of rocks here. It's just going to knock those down. Give you access to the top side where we can start to push on forward. The Stalkers of herO also working around the left. We have one hallucination already starting to move out onto the map. Again, ByuN has map control, but he's not really been able to capitalize on it at all. As now he's set up, I feel like, this army. If we had a couple of good EMPs, then it could be in a lot of trouble, especially if you remove the force fields and these sentries can't keep this army at bay. These ghosts might just be the MVPs that ByuN's been looking for. First EMP comes down on the left-hand side of it. There are force fields available still. The right side sentries went untouched. It's still not a bad initial force field. It's going to drain nearby batteries of energy, so now you only really have super batteries. We loaded up a jump clunk of units into Medivacs. As herO's chasing, I feel like you actually maybe want to turn around and fight or unload these units and flank. I really feel like ByuN could do well if you unloaded and he came in from the other side at the same time. He is just going to run though, and he is going to drop the main base as he does so. that's going to be his plan of action here. Into the main base we go. Like I say, this is going to be an issue. Hero is obviously not set up to really deal with this. He will recall. Oh my goodness, that's a horrible recall because he recalls a part of his army. Then the other half is going to be left alone. So he might push back this drop, which can actually just lift up and get out without losing a thing. He's going to start losing a whole lot of everything else. The Disruptor doesn't hit anything. SCV is probably time for them to turn back around as the ByuN will continue to chase. What can we grab here? The Disruptor would be an amazing grab. We're not going to quite get far enough forward for that. This ByuN is heavily stimmed because we've just had to stim it so many times in chasing. First it ran away, then it turned into chase. Yeah, don't fly back into the Stalkers with the Medivacs, ByuN. Wow, I honestly did not feel like that was a good recall from herO because it was right in the face of ByuN, and I felt like ByuN got a lot of free damage out, but again, herO is making it work. He's playing pretty spectacularly this game because he had that initial defense as well, which I didn't even really think was on the cards, but he found that. He was able to make that happen as well. herO just with some clutch plays. Like I say, the recall might not have immediately kind of shouted in the screen like, yes, this is what we want to do. It definitely seemed like a pretty good decision in the end. Like I say, just kind of a wild one, but makes it work out. Didn't even get that punished on the chase down, right? Like the Disruptor got away, for example. That Immortal survived. I really felt like we're going to see a lot more dead Protoss following that. herO takes the opportunity to make his base number 5 here, so we'll get that 5th Nexus up and operational. Gets that going at the front, as we do still see the few Zealots on the bottom side. Going to go charge through for a Widow Mine. Grab that immediately. And the rest of this ByuN just coming back through the center. Just going to see some Zealots. Well, a couple of those go down immediately. The pylon gets cancelled. Our Stalkers will come forward and just shoot at the Medivac. We're going to knock that down. One more shot. Another Medivac just taking a little bit of damage. We continue over the right-hand side. The rest of our ByuN comes up the left. Disruptor shot! Pretty decent. Obviously, it wasn't the most clumped up set of units we could have seen. And now the Disruptor gets donated on the tail end as well. herO is busy pushing into the base of the Terran. ByuN doesn't have a lot back. He's got some reinforcements up on the high ground. He does have an army on the right. He's obviously going to continue forward with this group of units as well, but it may just be too much here. And of course, this is a difference of, as ByuN you're canceling the 5th base, as herO you've denied the 4th. It's a much more important base now for herO than it is for ByuN because herO just had more bases to work with initially. I'm going to say that looks like an absolute necessary lift up as we now see the chance for the Stalkers to blink forward. Is this going to be a cleanup on this army? We got some value out of it as ByuN, but enough? No, that's a very good question. herO did bring the rest of his army back around, and now ByuN has a lot of units over. He's going to find 2 new Disruptors. There's one more Disruptor that's actually going to get jumped on as well. ByuN might just stand in the recall as he gets the Robo. So the recall was on a single Stalker herO. My goodness, he's had some moments. Oh no, sorry, I think the rest of the Stalkers were up top, but he actually loses that Disruptor as well. That's why I said ByuN might stand and just see what he can grab. We lift up, there's no blink near enough, and we're going to jump into the main base for a little bit more trading. ByuN keeping herO as busy as possible here is very important. He doesn't want herO's army to go across the map right now. He knows that in a straight-up fight, he might actually be a little bit disadvantaged because, some of these trades have maybe not been the best for him. If you can try and find favorable trades by splitting this army up further, that's going to be what he does, and, well, he's going to lose that Medivac, unfortunately, so that doesn't quite turn out too well. Trying to move forward here. There's just a little bit too much for herO still. What a game from herO to turn this around. It definitely felt like he was not having the best of times, and I will say that I've kind of doubted his decisions a couple times over as the Disruptor dive is not going to be good enough. ByuN belly flops on that dive in, and he is unfortunately going to be ending up getting pushed further and further back. herO going to keep on going, going to keep pushing down this bottom right side. A couple of Widow Mines going to go off on the Zealots. Disruptors and Stalkers still joined up, and, well, on we go. As another Widow Mine will fire, another Zealot will go down, but quite frankly, at this stage, we can see that this is just way too much herO. As he pushes through, these SCVs are going to be in a world of trouble. Going to have Disruptor shots flying absolutely here, there, and everywhere. 20 dead SCVs. Stalkers blinking in to clean up. GG's from ByuN. A game where I felt like ByuN had a lot of control and opportunity early on. It's absolutely swept under the rug by herO. And herO grabs a game 1 of the best strategy to herO for the gold basis. But the 6 Robo is actually pretty sick, and definitely something I think we're going to end up seeing more of. Is in the top right side, could not close out the game when he had the opportunities to perhaps, at least maybe not even close it out, but just to get more done. There are definitely some of those opportunities that slipped away from him. In the top right, our Blue Terran from the Shopify Rebellion, ByuN. Battling against the Red Protoss in the bottom left, herO from Dragon Kaisi Gaming as we head into game 2 of the series. My favorite observer, Inu, just joined the lobby, so I guess it's time for me to be a little bit lazy observing. Although I feel like my observer was actually not not super terrible today. Don't know. Like I said, I feel reinvigorated, guys. The time of StarCraft, suddenly I'm like, I can observe things. Oh my god, the probe. There's a couple SCVs beginning to come back through. Nibbling up here and there. I'm just trying to see what exactly we can find. SCV jumps into the refinery. Probe comes back around. SCV still taking some nibbles. Another couple of SCVs going back onto the probe. And that back and forth will just continue through. SCV's around the top side, going to come up there and just going to nibble this probe a little bit as well. Just going to be seeing herO still getting chased around just slightly. As Reaper and Orbital once again be on the way out. SCVs will continue to chase the probe down as our Cybercore gets set up. Gets the CC into position here. Just going to be seeing the Reaper popping. And yeah, just going to be getting that to kind of roll through. Obviously, last game was Reactor first. This time, Reaper into Marine, so a little bit of a different setup as we do grab one probe up on the top. And now we're going to come down the left-hand side. It's going to be heading down to the south, so down to the bottom side of the map we go. Still got our Warp Gate coming through, Stalker, Nexus, and another additional probe being added on in as well. Let's bring a lot of that up. Again, bunker and reactor coming through. The factory still getting going. And the robotics facility starts from herO on the main base. So he's going to go back into this kind of robo, which is very fun, very funky. Because obviously the robo is not something which you kind of necessarily always go into as a Protoss player, as your first tech choice in PvT. What can a robo give you? Well, a prism and a little bit of prism harass is usually probably one of the more likely scenarios here. On the other side of that, though, what do we really see out of a robo? Maybe some super fast Colossi, sometimes even like a crazy disruptor drop opening or something of the sorts. We're going to go diving into this natural as the first couple probes take some shots. Stalker is going to be able to put a lot of damage onto this Reaper, and that Reaper is hurting. It's going to go down. So the Reaper dies without really much information gained. You look at his vision. He did not get into the main. So ByuN is blind as a bat. And unfortunately, that means he has to do a little bit of guesswork as to what is actually coming his way, as to what is actually happening. So, yeah, that is a little bit unfortunate. That is a little bit rough. See a couple of additional probes still coming out here on the side. herO just cranking those out, getting those numbers up. He is hitting... not quite a supply block, I guess. Pylon just finished up, but he is hitting to the point where obviously we start thinking as a Protoss player, hey, what are you going to do? Are you going to go to 3 bases? Are we just going to defend on 2 bases? Like, what is the plan here? Right? Like, these are questions we start to ask right now. What is the plan? What are we actually intending to go into as the next step of all this? Now that Obs continues into the upper right-hand side. A few Marines are going to be nearby. Perhaps catch this very easily. It looks as though we've got eyes for the Observer. And we're just waiting for the scan. He must have it soon, otherwise I don't think he would be following it as he is. Wow, scan on the low ground is just now available. Our Observer just able to get away. Maybe ByuN made it a bit too obvious by following it around. But, yeah, obviously he was just very ready for the scan to be ready, and then boom, you get the grab. Observer got away just in time, as you are going to see ByuN making his first initial army move out. So he's going to start to push that out onto the map, and let's see what he can get done against, again, an opening which is pretty defensive from herO. Still isn't even on 3 bases. Obviously, Robo Bay is not done yet. These couple of tanks, well, that's what the Immortal will be extremely good at, as long as they can get in range. herO hasn't slowed this down at all, so ByuN is going to walk straight across the map and potentially just get sieged. There's no bling to jump on top of this either. We're going to go for the Disruptor immediately too. The tanks do siege from quite far away, yes, but you want to be safe again. You want to make sure that you don't get kind of jumped on as you're sieging up. That would actually be very disastrous here potentially. ByuN going to decide what he wants to try and fight and fire onto here, as he does lose one tank very quickly. Again, the power of the Immortal is pretty darn big. I don't think the Immortal dies, but a lot of Protoss did go down in this trade out. We are going to clean up at the tail end. Maybe this one Marauder gets out of here. Resources loss is going to be a little favorable for herO at the very end of this. Obviously, still only on 2 bases, though. Typically, a pros wants to be on that extra base. And I get it, this time around, we're not really playing that style here as herO. We are playing that, fast Colossus. But even +1 and Blink starting before we take a third. 6-minute third is really kind of as late as it gets if you're realistically taking a third without doing some kind of... I'd even say unless you're kind of doing some kind of all-in to start out with, right? The Medivacs load up here from ByuN. They're going to go boosting over to this far left-hand side as well, so away we go. Medivacs coming across, getting ready to unload and aim towards this Nexus. We do have our observer here of herO getting set up. It's going to see these Medivacs coming forward. Stalkers try to get there. Medivacs get turned around. Now we're going to unload and go after that observer. Just going to nab that. ByuN will continue through. Just going to be seeing, again, an attempt to jump on the base, but it's the tech units to defend are here. There's not a lot of them, so you've got to be very careful with their positioning and how you use them, but they are here. ByuN dancing around nicely. Dodged the first disruptor shot. Now loads up into the Medivacs, but drops back down. He's noticed the observer, so he realizes that his play has been figured out, so he's not going to double down on it or anything. I'm just going to see a couple more Stalkers warping in. herO pulls out to the left side. Still kind of waiting. He's expecting ByuN to drop at some stage. We know ByuN is a drop-heavy Terran. We know he will try and multitask. You know he will try and get some stuff done here, but so far not quite being able to find the way in. This time he is going to go around those units. And next Colossus just popped, which I actually think is very bad for ByuN. Obviously with 1 Colossus here, maybe he could have fought this with 2. I think that's a no-go. So he's going to hide these 2 Medivacs in the corner for the moment. The rest of his army is coming across as well. If he could have maybe made this a good enough a threat in the main base, he could have perhaps found a siege on the 3rd. Obviously now we see that that's not going to be the case, as we do have the Orbital Command. Building on the 3rd base of ByuN, his own 3rd CC coming into play. His economy staying very level with herO throughout this game. You see income advantages kind of swung back and forth, but in general this is great for ByuN. You've now got triple mule against a pros player who has equal workers to you, so yeah, you should be mining a whole bunch more. That's kind of the expectation, because of course at the same time, apparently I just missed these Medivacs dying, guys. I apologize. So they went down in the corner. At the same time, we obviously have just a pros that shows the less economical route in the early stages of this game, and that has definitely been a little bit of a concern. As just shows, like I say, kind of a shame losing those drops. I'm sorry I didn't catch that on the screen, but if you have those drops still available, there is just so much more potential. You can keep herO scared, you can keep herO pinned back, then you can immediately have multi-prong set up and ready to go at a moment's notice. That's much tougher to kind of really achieve at this point. Hey, how's the best? Thank you so much for the 2-year resub. Thank you so much. How was Saudi Arabia? Too hot for me? Honestly, the heat was kind of fine. Like, it was hot, but it was kind of like because it was like a dry hot, it was actually very manageable. Obviously, I didn't spend that much time outside. I went to the pool a couple times, but like in the actual sun and stuff, didn't really spend any time there, so just sat in the air conditioning most of the time. Another tank moves up, just gonna sit next to that sensor tower, and all of our tanks together, getting joined up. Bunker. A few Marines inside. We do have our charges about halfway done. Just continuing to build through as well. So bringing up as much of this as possible. As additionals allowed to warp in with charge about to finish. herO's got a supply lead. And he's got the kind of tech behind this as well. 3 Colossi, 4 Disruptors already up and running. That robo facility is being put to use. And herO is going to push with this army right now. ByuN defensively has a good tank layout. He's got a bit of SimCity on this left-hand side. Is that something herO will willingly push into? Even a couple more Debos are going to try and choke up those Zealots as best as possible. Protect these tanks as much as we possibly can. ByuN doing anything he can to just try and find the edge in this battle, as the first Disruptor does land pretty nicely on that first clump of units. 4th Command Center dies immediately as well, so that means that is not saved. That means we're not going to get to 4th base straight off the back of this as ByuN either. Vikings poking and prodding that Colossus. We're not going to see our Stalkers blinking through. Tanks are firing up. The Zelts are going to try and make their way forward. Disruptors so far haven't done much. There we do have a big shot going off. The Disruptors are kind of getting shelled by the tanks. The target fire choosing to pick those over everything else. ByuN is like a sliver of army away from having enough to truly just jump on all of these tech units. He's not quite going to find the chance just yet as a few more units come down from the high ground. The EMP will land on a group of those Stalkers. The SCV's repairing up the orbital command. ByuN just says, I can't actually clean this up, though. And it's going to be GG's. herO finds himself the 2-0 to start off the real kind of more difficult section of this bracket. Moves into the semifinals of ESL Open Cup